Okay, here we are. I'm going to talk about the nano-cycle in test-driven development. And here's Uncle Bob's article for it, which I'll share. But it's the cycles of TDD. It's on his website. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the second-by-second way of doing things. We have our dojo. In a previous video, we set up our project so that we can quickly create test-driven, start with a failing test and then start doing development from that. We start from the failing test and we should be able to do that very, very quickly. And then we're going to follow these 3 steps in our coding. We write a failing test before we write a production code. Our tree, you're going to see our source code tree is divided into 2 parts, our test tree and our production code tree. And we don't write anything in our production code tree until we have a failing test. We don't write any more in our test than we need to have some sort of failure. Okay? And then we do not write more production code than we needed in order to make our test pass. So we do these very small things. And so I'm going to show a very small version of this. So here we are in our development environment. I'm over in my project view. You can see it here. I'm on the demo 2 package. Now I'm going to resist using my mouse. I'm going to try to use the keyboard shortcuts as much as possible. That's important when I'm practicing my coding katas. So I'm creating something new. I'm creating my Java Hamcrest template. I'm going to call it something. And so in this particular case, we're going to just write something that adds 2 numbers. Pretty simple, okay? And we'll go through the add 2 numbers test. Okay, cool. Here's our empty test. Let's make sure it fails. Oh, so there I popped it up. This is see the one that was selected was the last test I ran. I don't want that. I want that one down here, and it often has a number beside it. So in that case it was 2, and I typed 2 and I executed it. So I have my failing test now. Expected false, but got true. But was, expected false. Expected is false. Actual is true. Okay. So this is the actual, and this is the expected. So we're going to add 2 numbers. Okay. So let's expand this so we can see it a little better. See the shortcut I'm using there? Okay, so I've expanded it. And let's start with our test. So the actual is going to add 2 numbers. Add 2 numbers. Let's call it that. Add 2 numbers. Oh heck, let's make it even shorter. Add. Okay, we've got add. Okay, and we're going to add 1 plus 2, and we're going to expect 3. Okay. Now this doesn't even compile. See how that's red there? It doesn't understand it. So what I do then is if I were to hover my mouse over this guy or push it, see it cannot resolve, and it tells me it'll suggest actions. So in this particular case, if I hit, in my machine it's the Alt Enter key, and yours because I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to hit Alt Enter, and you'll see that it's Alt Enter also on your machine. So it's giving me different choices here. I'm going to create a method called add. Okay, the result it's highlighting right now, so it's going to give an int, and I typed it. Then I go to tab to the next space. It's going to be an int. So I'm just going to add 2 integers just for simplicity here. Oh, add. I should have hit enter there again. Let's undo that because I did that incorrectly. So let's try it again. Alt Enter. I cursor down and select the add. I type in int, hit enter. Okay, move to the next one, hit enter. Okay, type in a, hit enter. Oh, again it's doing, okay, so actually not quite here. So now I'll type in b for this guy. A little bit of boo-boo there, so I'd have to practice that. And let's just return 0 to start with, because we want a failing test. Okay, it failed. Actually, and I noticed here, let's rename this guy to test add to integers. Okay, that's it. So my test failed. I could navigate over here. Okay, it shows me the failure. I can go back to escape and it takes me here. Let's run our test again and see that. In this case, there's only one line where it's failing, and it's highlighting the assert that's failing right there. Okay, so now we're going to make this test pass. Actually, you see a few things here. The A and the B is not used. So if I were to push F2, that shows me the next highlighted thing, F2, 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 F2. I'm navigating around, okay. So let's make it pass now, A plus B. I think this is going to work, right? Again, resisting the urge to use my mouse whenever possible. Now it's passing. So we've got the thing that passes. And notice I was kind of quick and dirty about it. I just wrote it within the test class itself. Okay, I didn't worry about where it's going to go. But now I'm going to start to have an opinion about where it's going to go. So I go over in my project view. I go into my main. I'm navigating around here. And I'm just going to create a class here. So in my case, new class, Java class. And I'm going to call it MathUtils. Okay. So here's my MathUtils guy. Nobody's using it. Now I'm going to go back to my test. So I'm going to go Command E on my platform or Control E on yours. It takes me back to my test. Now what I would like to do is move this into my production. There are no variables. Okay. Yes, would you like to make the method add static and then move it? Yes, I would. Sometimes I actually make it static first. So it's static now. Okay, I might as well, while I'm at it, I'm going to make it public static. Okay, if you don't know what that means, that's okay. So now it's public static, and I'm going to move it onto my class that I created, and I'm typing in MathUtils, and it should find it. So I found MathUtils. Asks me if there's anything else I want to move. There's nothing else in this class here, and I'm going to say refactor. Okay, this is what my MathUtils looks like. And Command E, back to my previous file. This is what my code looks like now. And that's a simple test. So you saw I kept it as simple as possible. I did all the work inside the test class for as long as I could. I had my IDE help me with suggestions of things. And then when I got my test working, I moved it into the production space. Okay. And so I kept it out of the production space as long as possible because I didn't want to really decide about where it goes right away. So one problem at a time. So that's it.